Today we're going to be looking at a season preview of the team that I hold near and dear to my heart, and that is the Grambling State Tigers. Let's talk about it after the bumper. Stay tuned. What's good people? My name is JeffLightsYJr. here with the Black Boss channel and Victory Formation. Thank you guys. Thank you guys for tuning in. Be sure to hit that thumbs up button, like, share, subscribe, notification bell because we upload every single day. Now, we're here to do a season preview of Hue Jackson's club, the Grambling State Tigers, down in Grambling, Louisiana. Grambling is the biggest wild card, I think, in the entire SWAC because Grambling has a chance to be special. They brought in so many players. It's just whether the players are as good as advertised and are they going to be able to put it all together in year one. Simple, right? Sounds simple, but no, it's not that simple. Grambling brought in a boatload of transfers. I think they got upwards of 40 new players on the roster. On a roster that fields, a bunch of players, 40 new guys is a ton of roster turnover. Entirely new staff. They went through 3 offensive coordinators, and now Hue Jackson is just a few days away from playing his first game of the year against an FBS opponent in Arkansas State out of the Sun Belt. And we'll learn a lot about Grambling the first 2 games of the season because the first game of the season, they play a bottom-level FBS team in Arkansas State, but still an FBS team out of the Sun Belt. And then they play a non-conference FCS team out of the Southland in Northwestern State. So we're going to learn a lot about Coach Hue Jackson and the Grambling State Tigers straight out the gate. Now, of course, the moment of truth is who is going to be the starting quarterback at Grambling. Grambling has a ton of options. They brought in 5 different quarterbacks. We chronicled them all at different points, when they enrolled or when they committed to Grambling, so no need to go through the list. But from what I'm hearing, that the QB battle is obviously the players know who the starter is going to be, but Quintarius Hawkins is getting a lot of hype out of camp, getting a lot of hype and a lot of talk out of camp. Julian Calvez, the only true freshman on the roster at the quarterback position, is getting a lot of talk, and of course Chance Amy. So if I had to guess, I would just pick 3 out of the 5, but one of those 3 are going to emerge and try out their first as QB1 come game 1 against Arkansas State. So whoever the quarterback is going to be, I think they're going to be a really good one because, like I said, you had a battle with 5 different guys throughout the spring and then going into fall camp. I'm interested to see what the offense looks like with Coach Hue Jackson running the show, Coach Simon being the official OC now. Of course, we have the Art Browse fiasco, whatever, and then their first OC actually got a job with the Denver Broncos, or the Houston Texans. He got a job with the NFL after being named OC of Grambling. So they had a lot of stuff going on this offseason. But the offensive numbers are going to be key and critical because the offense for the G-Men last year just wasn't good. Let's take a look at some of the numbers from last year. And I mean, they're relative and they're significant because this is what you're basing it off of. So Grambling, we're looking at points per game right here. Points per game. They only average 17 a game, but their opponents average 27 a game. Now, I think the G-Men defense was better than this number last year. It just the offense was so pathetic, was so bad that teams were allowed to, the defense had to be out there a ton. The time of possession is swayed heavily in the opponent's favor. The plays per game is swayed heavily in the opponent's favor in 2021. And so I think having Coach Jackson, Coach Simon, Coach Kincaid, the quarterback's coach, in a totally new offensive scheme will help this number, will help the defense a lot. And the influx of weapons the G-Men have brought in, right? Outside of the quarterback, like I said, they brought in 5 new quarterbacks. But you bring in 2 receivers, 2 freshman receivers that I think will make major impacts, and that is one being Ryan Pepins. I think there's no secret that he's going to be a baller, that they plan on using him quite a bit, the former Mr. Football out of the state of Alabama in the class of 2021, in the 2021 season. class of 2022. He's going to be a beast. Faison Wilson. So Ryan Pepin's is smaller, scat, quick, get the ball in his hands, make plays. And Faison Wilson's the bigger, big-time, deep threat wide receiver. Those two guys, I think, are going to make immediate impact without question. Whoever the new quarterback is, whether it's Hawkins, Calvez, Amy, any of those guys, they're going to love them some Faison Wilson, some Ryan Pepins, two true freshmen. I think also the stable of running backs. Grambling has brought in a ton of help in the backfield, like upwards of 4 or 5 new running backs. And those guys are going to help the quarterback out a ton as well. From Lamborghini to Maurice Washington to all the other guys in the stable of backs, the big-time Division I transfers, the high school freshmen, true freshmen. Like Grambling has a ton of, they brought in so much offensive firepower at the skill positions, wide receiver, quarterback, running back, and on the offensive line. That offensive line has to be improved because the quarterbacks last year only averaged about 5 yards per pass. It's not going to get the job done. The offense only averaged about 4 yards per play. It's not going to get the job done. And that actually is what skewed, I think, a defense that I thought was better than the numbers show. But the defense brought in a ton of help. See, the reason why Grambling is the biggest mystery is because all of these guys that they brought in is new, not just to the program, but the coaching staff is new, right? So when JSU, Jackson State, brings in a bunch of new guys, we have at least seen the coaching staff operate in a spring year and then in the fall season last year that led, we saw them win a SWAC championship. Grambling, with their coaching staff being new and with all their players, well, a ton of their players, the significant pieces of the team being new, it's a big old question mark, but it is a question mark, and it is a team that I could see doing a lot of damage in the SWAC this year. Like I could literally see Grambling being the biggest sleeper in the entire SWAC because of the talent both brought in on both the offensive and defensive side of the ball. You have Mr. Anderson, who was an NFL prospect. You bring in the defensive back from Alcorn, who was a beast. You bring in a couple of Power 5 transfers in Devin Bush and Dante Starks from LSU and Arkansas, respectively. Like, his team, there's a bunch of guys I can't even mention because they brought, like I said, when you bring in upwards of 40 guys, it's going to be hard for me to remember every single player. But, man, this team could be special. Now, don't get it twisted. They don't get any breaks, right? Being in the same, being in this West, the West is wide open. The SWAC East is the tougher division this year, just based on paper, right? With Jackson State, with FAMU, with Alabama A&M, you got some tough teams. You got Valley in there. Valley is a team that's going to upset a lot of people. They're picked to finish last, but I don't think they would finish last. But in the West, it's a little more wide open. Alcorn's going through some rebuilding, some transition at quarterback. Grambling is going through a transition. Prairie View's got a new coach. They're going through a transition at the quarterback position. Southern's bringing in a new coach. They're going through a transition. Texas Southern is a team that was picked to finish last. So the entire SWAC West is up for grabs, and I wouldn't be surprised if Grambling came out on top in the SWAC West. I wouldn't be surprised. I picked Southern because I just think Southern has more experience, talent. I don't know if they have more talent than Grambling. I wouldn't dare to say that the Southern roster is more talented than the Grambling roster. I just think they have more experience, guys that have actually played and have a coach that's been in this system, that has a proven system that works in the SWAC. That's why I picked Southern. But don't sleep on the G-men. Let's take a look at the Grambling football schedule for this season. Like I said, the first 2 games are going to learn a lot about Coach Hue Jackson. We're going to learn a lot about the new quarterback, even if they use multiple quarterbacks. We're going to learn a lot about Grambling in those first 2 games before they start SWAC play against Jackson State in week 3. But Arkansas State, an FBS opponent, a Sun Belt opponent on the road at night. That's going to tell you a lot about this team, how much fight they have in them, and if they're able to pull off the upset. The next week against Northwestern State, a team that I think Grambling should go to the Independence Stadium and win the Shreveport Classic and win this game. But once again, these two games are going to tell you a lot about Coach Hue, about his staff, about his quarterback, about these guys that I've been naming, and I can only talk to you about name only because we haven't seen them on the field, whether it was at their other schools and now at Grambling or even in high school. We're going to learn a lot. That week 3 game and moving forward, that is going to be must-watch TV, can't miss TV against Jackson State. Coach Hue Jackson and the Tigers travel to 1400 Lynn Street to take on Coach Prime, Shedeur Sanders, Travis Hunter, Kevin Coleman, and the Jackson State Tigers. And that game will be, as you see, on ESPNU. That's how big people think this is going to be. And then you get some games that I think you should go and win. Bethune-Cookman, Prairie View. Alabama A&M is going to be tough. And these games are also going to be on HBCU Go, as you see the big HBCU Go logo there. Shout out to the folks over at HBCU Go. Prairie View, and then you get Alabama A&M. And by this moment, you get into the meat and potatoes of the schedule, in my opinion. You go Alabama A&M, FAMU, and Alcorn. 3 straight games that are going to be tough. Now, luckily, in 2 of these 3 games are at home. You get FAMU at home, you get Alcorn at home. Tough games at Eddie G. But we'll see if you're able to get it done. And then you close off the season with 2 games I think you should win against Pine Bluff and Texas Southern. And then, of course, the Bayou Classic where the records go out the window. You know, the metal meets the road. All hell breaks loose down in the Superdome in Louisiana and New Orleans. So this Grambling team, man, I'm picking them to finish second in their division behind Southern, second in the West. But I would not be surprised if Coach Jackson, if he gets that quarterback position right, and he's able to go out and win the SWAC West. Would not be surprised at all. I'm picking them to finish second anyway. Not picking them to finish third behind Alcorn. I'm picking them to finish second behind Southern and above Alcorn in the SWAC West because I believe in Coach Hue. I believe in the Tigers. I believe in Grambling State. I believe that they're going to find the right quarterback, and I think these guys are going to put up a whole lot of points. Coach Hue Jackson came on my show, my platform, and said, yo, y'all better make sure them scoreboards are working this year because we plan on lighting up the scoreboard this year, and I believe them because they have the players in the stable. They have the horses in the stable to make it happen. Leave your thoughts in the comments down below on Grambling. I see Grambling winning like 8 games. I see them winning roughly around 8 games that they're playing. They're playing a what? A 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 game schedule. 8-3, 9-2. The only for sure losses, that Arkansas State game is going to be tough. I think they'll lose to Jackson State. And I think they lose to Southern. That's 3 losses. And FAMU. Depending on what they have. Depending on what they have going on. So out of 11 games, I could see 8-3, 7-4. I wouldn't be surprised if they came out and got that shock upset win over Arkansas State in week 1. We have to wait and see. If they pull that off, Jackson State, FAMU, and Southern. 8-3 for Grambling. I think they finished second in the West. Leave your thoughts in the comments down below on the G-Men, on Coach Hue Jackson in year 1 for Grambling. I see them finishing second in the SWAC West, but wouldn't be surprised if they win the whole darn thing. Once again, my name is JeffLightsyJr with the Black Boss Channel and Victory Formation. Thank you guys for tuning in. Hit that thumbs up button, like, share, subscribe on your way out, and I'll see you next time. Peace.